What happens when you mix spiritual authority, financial vulnerability, and this modern diet culture that we're living in? You have a recipe for high-stakes drama and profound ethical questions. And as a pastor's wife and someone who's been in ministry for 30 years, I have questions, starting with, should people in church ministry positions advertise MLMs or multi-level marketing business models to their congregations? It's a slippery slope, and one that I think should be avoided by people who lead others spiritually. We're stepping into some controversial territory today on Next Steps with Becky. So let's jump right in. I hope you can hear my heart in this episode, because my goal isn't to tear down people who are just trying to make a living or people that want to help other people get healthy, because that's my goal. I want to help other people get healthy. And I know a lot of people who have genuine intentions. But as spiritual leaders, I think our platform is a sacred trust between God and us. When we blur the lines between shepherd and salesman, we risk trading eternal trust for a temporary paycheck. Lasting health doesn't come in a corporate branded box, and it certainly shouldn't cost you hundreds of dollars a month or even your peace of mind. God provided what our bodies need in simple, whole, nourishing food. I believe that. We don't need a multi-level marketing scheme, a fancy subscription, or a rebrand like Trilivy to reclaim our vitality. We need to get back to the basics. So if you're a ministry leader listening today, I encourage you to protect your calling and keep your platform focused on what truly matters. And if you're a church member feeling pressure, or maybe you've experienced hurt by someone you look up to, give yourself permission to take a step back. Your health journey belongs to you, and you don't owe anyone your downline. Originally, this was going to be a one-off podcast episode on MLMs and specifically Optavia. But I decided that this topic needed a closer look. And today, in this first episode, we're going to talk about the spiritual component of ministry leaders and pastors as health coaches. Then we're going to talk about companies like Optavia, which has now become Trilivy, and decide if they're necessary or even helpful to someone on a health journey. So let's start by talking about the idea of pastors and ministry leaders as health coaches. Is it a good idea? Why am I even talking about it? Well, because it's on my personal radar. I see so many people that I know who are using their ministry platforms as spiritual leaders to promote Optavia, now Trilivy in particular. And sure, there are other MLMs that I can mention, such as Young Living or Plexus. I know lots of people that are involved in those companies. But Optavia hit home with me, not because I participated in it, but because I was targeted by several friends before I started my health journey. I would get those random messages out of the blue from someone that I haven't spoken to since college saying, "How are you? How's your family? Your kids look like they're growing up. I noticed your church is doing well. That's great. I haven't talked to you in over 20 years. So why were they suddenly interested in my overall well-being?" One quick look at their Facebook profile revealed that they were part of Optavia. It happened more than once, twice, or even 3 times. I guess I should maybe say thank you, because they made me realize that my outward appearance was telling others that I needed help. So thank you for randomly reaching out to me. I choose to be grateful. But after I started my health journey, which, as a reminder of my health journey, has consisted of eating whole foods closest to their original form, I've eliminated chemicals from my diet, and I'm more intentional about moving more. And I realized that a plan like Optavia could have hurt me as I sought to become genuinely healthy. Because I've eliminated almost everything that comes in a box from my diet, I was unimpressed with their fuelings, which are bars that don't look very good, in my opinion. Packaged waffles and pancakes, shake mixes, they probably taste like chalk, and cheddar straws that you can eat up to 3 times a day. These are scheduled on their food plans. Cost about $100 a week for these fuelings that you can buy. Those are the exact opposite types of food that I've been eating over the last 2 years, and I've lost about 100 pounds. As I looked into Optavia, I felt like I dodged a bullet by not participating in their plan. Recently, within the last few days, my Facebook feed has been full with those Facebook friends who are coaches with Optavia announcing that now Optavia is Trilivy. So what is Trilivy? I thought that Optavia was kind of optimum life. What is Trilivy? Well, in their advertising, they have said that it's inspired by trilogy, which means three, vita or vita, which means life, and via, the way, Trilivy. They say it's to reflect the three-phase approach designed to improve metabolic health and support lasting transformation. And I can't wait to talk about what they're considering metabolic health and transformation. Trilogy could also mean that this is their third recent iteration of this company, which was Take Shape for Life, then Optavia, and now Trilivy. And we're also going to talk about why they keep rebranding and changing their name every few years. Their advertising says it's about helping people improve their health from the inside out, reducing inflammation, building healthier habits, preserving muscle, increasing energy, and creating a lifestyle that lasts. Those all sound like really fantastic things. But you know what else can do that? Eating real food, not pre-made, pre-packaged box food that actually contains harmful chemicals, like those listed in their products, such as monocalcium phosphate, dipotassium phosphate, and carrageenan, all things that I avoid pretty seriously in my diet. All three of those chemicals are things that if I'm reading a package or I scan it through my Yuka app and I see carrageenan, nope. In fact, my brain translates that as cancer causing, because if you research carrageenan, that's what it can do, is cause cancer. Those ingredients are used to prolong shelf life of processed foods. How is that a healthy supplement to your diet? You don't need texturizing agents or preservatives in your diet. So why are people eating it? But I want to get back to my original topic for this particular podcast. Should pastors and ministry leaders promote MLMs? First of all, what is an MLM? An MLM company, also known as direct sales or network marketing businesses, it's a structure where you become an independent distributor and you earn money through direct sales, like you sell products directly to customers, or even just purchasing themselves sometimes counts as sales. And then you recruit, you onboard other distributors in your downline, and you get a percentage of the sales made by those recruits and then their recruits. Everyone knows that this is how multi-level marketing schemes or businesses run. Now, Optavia or Trilivy says that they are not an MLM. I read multiple Optavia coaches that said that we're not a pyramid scheme or an MLM, we're a network. That's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same plan of the downline. And the idea is that your business grows as other people's business grows off of you. But here's the thing. When we're talking about pastors and ministry leaders, it's a conflict of spiritual authority versus financial gain. And that gets into ethics of leadership. As a pastor, if you introduce a business venture into your ministry, your relationship with your congregation changes. Okay. First of all, you break into two groups, those that are buying into what you're doing and those who aren't. Pastors operate on a currency of trust. You spend years building social capital through hospital visits, counseling, spiritual guidance, showing up for the people in your congregation. And then when you pivot to selling a product, you're cashing in. You're cashing in on that currency of trust for financial currency. It creates an awkward scenario. I would imagine it would put in a congregant's mind, did they do that just so they could sell me something? It puts a question there. It makes it difficult for those in your congregation to say no to you. I mean, they raise their hands on Sunday morning when they want prayer. They let you know when they need help. And now they're scared to say no to you. Congregants can feel a subconscious pressure to support their pastor. If a pastor says, this thing that I'm doing, this program I'm doing, changed my life, and they've seen you as a pastor or ministry leader, let's say like me, lose 100 pounds. They want to know what you're doing because we've looked at before studies that show our congregations are big. They're big people. As a church, we're not getting smaller, we're getting bigger. So out of loyalty, obligation, or just because they want to make you happy, they might actually buy into what you're selling them, even if they can't afford it. That is so difficult for me to even say that the relationship that I have with my friend in church who might be struggling financially, and I might know that I promote to them because they're in an unhealthy place in life, that I say, you need to join Optavia because it changed my life and it can change your life too. And you take your money that you barely have and you spend it on that. I can't do that. As people have come to me and they've said, what did you do to lose weight? Do you know what I tell them? I changed my diet. I asked God to help me and show me what I could do to make changes in my diet that would make a change in my overall health. Done. That's it. There's no obligation. In fact, in our church's health and wellness group, it has promoted trust because I'm not selling anything. When you start selling something to your congregation, it changes the relationship. And pastors and ministry leaders have done this for a long time. I remember when my husband and I were youth pastors straight out of Bible college, I sold Avon. Do you know why I sold Avon? Because a lady in my church came to me and said, hey, you're young, you're a newlywed, don't you need some extra income? You need to sell Avon. Do you know how many times over the years people targeted me and said, you need to sell this and that, to the point that my husband said, no more. You're not selling Candlelight, Mary Kay, Avon, any of the things that people would come to me and try to encourage me to sell. Because you know what? I couldn't say no. I couldn't say no. So now, as my husband and I lead a church, I would never put someone else in that position that they would have to try to tell me no when I know I couldn't tell them no. I think Optavia is a slippery slope because you're talking about people's health and well-being, something that most people, especially women my age, or even moms, women that have gone through a stage in life and they're looking for some kind of answer because our culture doesn't set us up to be healthy and to live healthy lives and buy healthy food. That's just not the way our culture is set up. So people like me are looking for answers. We're looking for a solution, and culturally, we're looking for something fast, something that we can do right now that's going to help us get to the place we want to be, because we don't want to take the time to invest in our health. We want a quick solution. So then you have something like Optavia, and you have a pastor or a ministry leader that's telling you, hey, you're already accountable to me spiritually. Why don't you make me your health coach? It'll just add another level of our relationship. We'll have this community together of people that are trying to steward their bodies and live healthy. And honestly, it kind of aligns with the goal of a pastor, to pastor, to shepherd, to take care of the people in your congregation. The issue is money. When you add money into that scenario, it really complicates things. I ran across a Reddit post not that long ago that was talking about someone's pastor who had become an Optavia coach and that they were really pushing this in their congregation. Someone responded and said, this is so gross. What this pastor is doing is icky and inappropriate and crossing a line. He's exploiting the goodwill of everyone who went to one service. That's really offensive, to exploit people who look at you as a faith leader. I can't with this. So gross. I've always understood that as leaders that we're supposed to live above reproach. That means we don't do things that can give people an opportunity to go, look at what they did. That doesn't mean that we're perfect. We are not perfect. I make so many mistakes and I try very hard to own up to them, but we don't do things that give people just a flat out opportunity to go, look at what they're doing. This is not okay. We should try to avoid things like that. We don't want to give people an opportunity to question our motives as a ministry leader. Think about this. MLMs like Optavia promote the idea of health coaches. Well, pastors are already professional coaches. We're spiritual coaches, counselors. We motivate people. Don't give up. Keep going. Don't give in to sin. God wants better things for you. We say all of those things. But here's the slippery slope part. We're monetizing spiritual pastoral care when we choose to be someone like a health coach with a company like Optavia or Trilivy. Our conversations can shift from spiritual health to tracking and compliance. It's a weird dynamic. have looked over a lot of Optavia or Trilivy material for their coaches. It's all available on the internet. They have such a strong messaging system. For example, they have all of the messages already typed out for you to just copy and paste. If I was um, a music pastor at a church and I have people under me, I copy and paste this message to send out to them every day as they're getting started on their journey with Optavia. So I copy and paste this message. Would I have normally sent them a message every day? Probably not. That's a lot. Most churches don't even send out a message every day. But now I'm sending out a message every day, encouraging to stay on track, to keep going, tips about their health. And that's weird. That's weird for a pastor or ministry leader to do that, not from the perspective of ministry, but from the perspective of, okay, you're buying stuff from me now, and I'm responsible for you as far as your health journey. So I've got to send out these messages. You're monetizing your pastoral relationship. Next thing is MLMs very traditionally promote community. So you don't just have messages that you're sending out, but you have groups of people that are getting together through video calls, phone calls, message groups, Facebook groups, and you're having times of celebration, testimonials, and things that you're doing to stay on the right path. Okay. Within a church, when you have a group of people that are now under you, suppose I'm a music pastor and I have a choir, and half of my choir is part of my Optavia group. What does that do to the rest of the people who aren't? They're isolated. They're not part of the group. You're creating a sub-church within your church of people that are part of this group, this special group that you have going. The next thing is the idea of the scripted language. So Optavia Trilivy is very noticeable on Facebook because they use these pic collage before and after sets of pictures. And they have some little blurb on the bottom of it that doesn't mention Optavia because they don't want to promote the company. They just want you to be interested in it. And as you're looking at these pictures, you're reading their testimony of what's happened in their life, how they, have been doing on this health journey, and it's supposed to create interest. Well, as Christians, we don't use what God has done in our lives as a way to make money. So when you're sharing your health testimony with your pastor, who then takes that testimony and puts it on Facebook to promote business, do you see why that's odd? It's an odd dynamic. So there's also the aspect of not just finances, but also the legal nuance of it. There's a reason why they keep changing names. And there are definitely lawsuits that you can view online. You can Google it for each rebrand of the Medifast corporations. I can't imagine the people in my congregation all of a sudden being part of a class action lawsuit. I can't imagine my husband as a pastor being tied to any kind of scandal within a company when we work so hard at our church and with our church family. I can't imagine that being something that's taking away time and energy from him because of the legal garbage going on with that. That just seems like something that would be so easily avoided by not promoting an MLM that could almost indefinitely end up in one of those class action lawsuits. I can think of probably a dozen examples of MLMs that end up in those lawsuits. And as a pastor or a ministry leader, you don't need that. Your congregation doesn't need that. I think that's just something that's very easily avoided. The next thing that I would say is, what are health coaches pointing to? What solutions are they offering? Because I think as a pastor, it would be impossible not to mix in some spiritual into what you're doing because it's a huge part of your life. So you might add the spiritual component, whether or not Trilivy is telling you to do that or not. You just naturally add the spiritual component because that's who you are. And I guess my question is, do we really need Optavia to be the middleman to be healthy? Do you need that? I mentioned before that Optavia relies on highly processed, shelf-stable, powdered packets of soup mixes, bars, and shakes that you can eat 3 to 5 times a day. The fuelings. That is so far from my imagination at this point that I would ever tell someone that I love or care about to go buy a box of soup powder to make food. Like, I would never do that. It is literally laughable to me because guess what? You can make your own chicken broth. add some carrots and celery and potatoes, and you can make pretty much anything you want out of real ingredients. And it's going to be about 2 million times healthier than whatever box garbage you're getting from Optavia. I was looking through the meal plans, first of all, wondering who wrote these. No one would want to eat what they have as meal plans. And I know people do. And that's how desperate they are to have a solution that's going to help them. And I understand that because I was so desperate myself. I didn't know what to do when I finally hit my rock bottom where my body just felt like it was falling apart. I was desperate. I needed something to help me. Thank goodness I didn't find Optavia. Because in their meal plans, they recommend using trans fat-free margarine. Margarine to cook food. No one on a true health journey eats margarine. Do you know why? Because it takes about 1 second to understand that butter, like from milk from cows, is actually easy for your body to digest. Any solid fat, it's like God made your body to digest it. I don't know, it's weird. I cannot imagine the stomach issues that I would have from using trans fat free margarine. That is broken down into some greasy, oily something that your body's going to try to expel. That is not going to be good. And I'm not going to go into that, but you can definitely read stories online about the stomach issues that people that embark on this diet go through. That does not appeal to me at all. They have meal plans that are as low as 800 calories a day. 800 calories a day. Some pretty average ones around 1200 calories a day. I pulled one that was a 1200 calorie a day meal plan. And I don't know how these people function. I could not function. I eat so much food now. I cannot believe how much I eat when I felt like I was starving for years and I could barely eat then without feeling full, bloated, and gross. Now I eat a lot of food, but for lunch on Trilivy's plan, you can have a half a cup of cooked cauliflower and 3 ounces of chicken. And then for dessert, you can have 3/4 of a cup of yogurt. All of those foods are actually really good for you. I think Trilivy allows you to have 3 condiments a day that you can use on your food for some kind of seasoning. But a half a cup of cauliflower is 12.5 calories. Do you know where you're getting a lot of your calories from on Optavia? Fuelings, the garbage food package that can sit on a shelf for who knows how long because it's got all those preservatives in it. You can eat those and get your calories from that. But I can only eat 12.5 calories of cauliflower. I looked it up. I asked Gemini, I said, how much cauliflower would I have to eat in one day to gain any weight at all? This is what it said. Because cauliflower is 92% water and packed with fiber, your stomach would physically run out of space long before you hit a surplus. You literally can't eat too much of it. That's what AI told me because it's kind of common sense that when you eat healthy foods, that your body can eat a lot of it. You won't gain weight. Your body uses what's in it and expels what it doesn't need. But the goal of programs like Optavia, Trilivy, whatever you want to call it, is not to provide nutrients to your body. It takes no time to look at their meal plans and go, what am I eating? I have to take a supplement that is providing the vitamins and different things that you need because you're definitely not getting it through food. And is that God's plan for food? I don't think so. The goal is to put your body in a mild dietary ketosis so that you're burning fat. And I know that one of the things that is supposedly different in Trilivy from Optavia is that they're trying to help you keep muscle, that you're going to burn the bad kind of fat and you're going to be able to keep your muscle. But look at ketosis and see what that does to your body because you kind of burn everything when you're in ketosis. What I've learned is in my health journey is that there are times that I'm eating more. I can have days where I've eaten substantially more, but I'm eating good food. I'm eating whole foods and I listen to my body. If I feel like I'm hungry, then I eat because my body is telling me at this point, maybe not when I started. When I started, I was addicted to sugar. I was trying to get rid of all the chemicals in my body. Now I'm more in tune with my body. If my stomach is growling, I'm actually hungry. So I don't need to ignore that so that I go into some weird fat burning phase. I need to listen to my body. Have I been exercising more? Have I been moving more? Maybe I'm, you know, doing more, that my body is using more and I need to eat more. So even though I have times that I definitely eat more, I'm still losing weight. I've lost about 8 pounds over the last month, just doing the same thing that I've been doing. I have continued to gradually lose weight, and I will continue until I get to the place that my body goes, hey, you're in a good spot. Problem with diet plans is that they never focus on getting your body healthy. And I know because I've done so many of them. I've been on Weight Watchers plans. I've gone to the gym. I've met with a trainer. I've done all of the things. I get it. I understand you want to lose weight. That is why you're on a diet. But here's the thing. I believe that there is an irony of a spiritual leader directing people away from God's natural plan for food to eat factory made box food. I don't believe that's God's plan. And I hope you've heard my heart today. I am not attacking pastors. I mean, some of these people are my friends and they might see this video. And I don't know how that will hit them, that it seems like I'm coming at them. But I just think God has been so gracious to allow us an opportunity to minister to people right where they're at in their health journey, their spiritual walk with God. And for us to take that opportunity to hone in on somebody that we might be able to make a few bucks out of, I think that's really stinky. I think our job should be to say, hey, eat fresh produce, good protein, get away from chemicals, eat whole grains, not highly processed things. You don't need to spend $1 million. The fuelings cost about $100 a week for one person. For my husband and I to eat 3 meals a day at home every day for a week costs about $80. That's buying organic, all of the fruits and vegetables that I can want to buy. That's how much it costs to feed us. Or I can spend $100 a week on pre-made boxed foods that are not going to push me towards being healthy. They might for a while. And we're going to talk about that in the next podcast. But they're not going to help me overall. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me on Next Steps with Becky. I know we waded into some heavy waters. This hasn't been my funnest podcast to make so far, but I know that someone out there might listen to this at some point, and you're on a health journey and you're struggling and you're looking for answers, and you might think, I wonder if Trilivy is going to be a good option for me. Can I encourage you to look a little harder, pray a little harder, ask someone who is a healthy person, a genuinely healthy person, or someone who is trying to follow God's plan for food to help you. You don't need to pay a coach. There are other Christian people like me who would be happy to partner with you and to help you on your health journey. So until next time, say to yourself, I might not be where I want to be today, but God is with me, and tomorrow will be better. I'll see you next time.